A complete identity transformation. The people who left were not the same people who arrived. In the original story, the Exodus wasn't just about leaving Egypt. It was about becoming someone who could never go back. The people who crossed the Red Sea were not the same people who had built the pyramids. The wilderness did something to them that comfort never could. It stripped away the old identity. It forced them to trust provision they couldn't see. It made them face every fear, every doubt, every version of themselves that wanted to turn back. And on the other side, they were new. Not fixed, new. What the Exodus actually is. Most people think of transformation as something that happens to you, a rock bottom, a revelation, a single turning point. But the Exodus framework says something different. The transformation happens in the journey, not at the destination. The wilderness is not the obstacle between you and the promised land. The wilderness is the point. You cannot become who you're supposed to be while you're still comfortable being who you were. Egypt has to become intolerable before you'll leave. And then the wilderness has to become familiar before you'll move forward. That's the pattern, every single time. The 5 phases of the Exodus. Phase 1. Egypt. The old paradigm, the old identity, the old operating system. The life you built before you knew there was another way. You know you're in Egypt when everything feels manageable, but nothing feels like you. Phase 2. The breaking point. Something happens that makes Egypt intolerable. A loss, a realization, a moment where the cost of staying becomes higher than the fear of leaving. This is not the bottom. This is the door. Phase 3. The wilderness. This is where most people turn back. The wilderness is the in-between. You are no longer who you were. You are not yet who you're becoming. There is no map. There is no guarantee. There is only the pull forward and the fear that you made a mistake. The beast is loudest in the wilderness. It says, "Go back. Egypt was better. At least there you knew what to expect." The sovereign says something different. Keep walking. The manna comes one day at a time. Phase 4. The manna. In the original story, the people in the wilderness were fed one day at a time. Not a week's supply, not a month's provisions, just enough for today. That is how the wilderness works. You don't get the full plan. You get what you need for today. The next step, the next idea, the next person who shows up exactly when you need them. Learning to trust the manna, provision that comes one day at a time, that is the core wilderness skill. Phase 5. The promised land. Not a destination, a frequency, a way of being. The promised land isn't a place you arrive at and stay forever. It's a version of yourself you grow into. And when you get there, you realize the wilderness was the gift, not the detour, the gift. Because the person who went through the wilderness is capable of things the person who stayed in Egypt never could be. The murmuring. In the original story, the people in the wilderness complained constantly. They missed Egypt. They wanted to go back. That's not weakness. That's the beast. The beast in the wilderness sounds like, "This is taking too long. Nothing is working. I should just go back to what I know. Maybe this was a mistake." Naming the murmuring is not the same as agreeing with it. You can hear the beast and still keep walking. That is what sovereignty in the wilderness looks like. Not the absence of fear, movement in the presence of it. your exodus. I want to speak directly to you now, wherever you are, whatever time it is, whatever brought you here tonight. You are in the wilderness. I know that because you're here. Because something in you is still moving forward even when it's hard, even when you don't know how it's going to work out, even when the beast is loud and the manna feels scarce and the promised land feels like a fantasy. This is not a detour from your calling. This is the preparation for it. The person you're becoming on the other side of this wilderness is capable of things the person you were in Egypt never could have handled. Stay in the wilderness. Trust the manna. Keep walking. The promised land isn't a place. It's who you become. The negotiation is over. Horizon Life Operating Systems. Sovereign Teaching Series.